This is Beyond a Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Gary Smith.
Gary, how the heck are you?
I'm great, Mark. How are you? Happy to have you back in California.
I'm happy to be back. Thank you. You have anything planned for the long weekend? Apparently it's a long weekend, which I didn't realize until yesterday.
Yeah, it always sneaks up on you. But yes, I'm going to a party for a mutual friend of ours this afternoon. And other than that, no, I'll just be bouncing around the house trying to keep up with chores and keep things clean.
Are you wearing Tony Soprano gear? I
am. I'm going for it. I've been encouraged. I'm very embarrassed by what I'll be wearing, but I'm going for it as hard as I can. And maybe we'll have some pictures that we can share to embarrass me next weekend.
Okay, I love it. Do we have a winner from last week? Did I send the comment?
I haven't seen one. No, I know that we.
I think it's the one where this is the best comment of the week. I'm going to do it because it's one of my pet peeves, and the person kind of falls right into the pet peeve. They mentioned something about what was it burnt coffee, hot coffee, or something like that regarding the damages. And I thought that should be the comment of the week, because what we were talking about last week was somebody who had been shot and killed. So it was not hot coffee. And by the way, that one of the great things that people have done when it comes to that McDonald's case is they have turned over the McDonald's hot coffee case. They've turned it into almost a meme without any mooring of factual basis. I mean, if you take a look at what the injuries were and what the actual testimony and discovery was, it's mind-boggling. But that's for a different day. So anyway, that's going to be my comment of the week for somebody who at least fired me up to respond.
I will say in the meantime that some of the merch has gone out. I'm going to share a photo here of one of the lucky recipients who tweeted at us and said he's wearing it with pride. And I love to see that. I love to see that they're getting out in the wild and people are enjoying it. It looks good.
Looked very good. I got to figure out. I keep losing the white strings, so I got to figure out what I'm going to do about that.
I tuck them in. I mean, at least maybe it's for camera because I don't want it obscuring the logo. But I tuck them in on the inside when I think about it. Now, maybe next time we'll go with a different colored string because it does obstruct a little.
Okay. We'll tell Lucas.
Yeah.
We'll tell Lucas.
Next batch.
So this week, I know that we could talk about the Trump verdict, which, by the way, we probably will, but I don't think that verdict is long for this world, frankly. And for those who want to know my opinion of it, remember, this judge was already by the appellate court the appellate court had stepped in once before when he tried to do something and had gone over the edge. So I think it's only a matter of time before that happens here.
Right.
But a different discussion. Let's talk Fani Willis, because I could not be more intrigued. And I have a close friend. I won't call her out right now. Not somebody who works for me, but somebody I've worked with and I have a lot of faith with, who had watched this and is a criminal defense lawyer. And it's shocking to me how the ideology gets in the way of actually examining what happened in the courtroom. So let's examine what actually happened in the courtroom.
Let's do it. You want to start with one of our clips here?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. It's let's start with this one that I've got pulled up right here.
County that was paid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outside of that. Did you ever pay him anything other than cash?
I've only given cash a few times in the course of what we're talking about. So if we would go to dinner,
let her finish her answer.
If we would go to dinner, I wouldn't give him cash because he paid for dinner or I paid for dinner. I've given him cash only a few times in life, probably 4.
Okay.
Probably the most money I've ever handed him is $2,500. The least amount of money I've handed him, probably between $500 and $1,000.
You never wrote him a check?
Ma'am, I don't have checks.
Okay. So you have no proof of any reimbursement for any of these things because it was all cash, right?
The testimony of one witness is enough to prove a fact.
So my question
Are you telling
was,
me
do you
that
have
I'm
any
lying
proof?
to you? Is that what you're intimating right here?
I'm asking if you have any proof that you paid him any of these
The
monies.
proof is what I just told you.
You have no written proof. Is that correct?
So I have some, probably some transactions like in Belize. I probably spent $500 on my card in Belize. I spent $900 on each of our tickets to go to Belize.
That was one of the clips that got a lot of play this week. The proof is what I told you was one of the quotes that a lot of people ran with.
What she's trying to say is that direct and circumstantial evidence would be the written documents, or it would be a receipt, or it would be a canceled check. She's saying the direct evidence is her testimony. By the way, there isn't a defendant around who's ever taken the stand who would I'm gonna use the Fani Willis rule. Just because I say it means it's true. So
right.
Let's go to the next clip.
You wanted the other clip of Fani, or you want to go on to some of the Nathan clips?
Oh, Fani, another Fani.
Yeah. So
by the way, this is why people rarely call lawyers as witnesses.
Yeah, this is Fani talking about where she maybe procured some of the cash that she had.
Whole life, when I took out a large amount of money on my first campaign, I kept some of the cash of that. Like, to tell you, I just have cash in my house. I don't have as much today.
Yes.
By the way, from my first campaign, I had a large amount of cash. I took out cash from that. Now I'm using the cash. And she, by the way, she also says fungible. I'm going to make a prediction that she has a lot of this testimony is going to spur authorities to take a look at her. And she's already being threatened with an audit by the county there. And I'm going to guess that the state of Georgia is going to take a look at her. I don't know who prepared her. It doesn't look like it was her lawyer, because she came running into the courtroom and said, I want to testify. Never a good idea to get up there without any stuff. But there's even more. It reminds me. Keep going with the next clip you've got.
All right. So we're going to switch over to some of the Nathan Wade clips here. And here's the first.
Please. Nathan Wade, by the way, testified. This is her lover, one-time lover, who apparently, I missed the one part, who had an inoperative member or something. Did you get that?
I did not see that one. I saw allusions to it, but I did not see the video. But here's the first clip we have of Nathan on the stand.
Did you go to a cabin with Miss Willis ever?
Ever?
Ever.
For those of you who are listening to this rather than watching, he's just looking up in the air.
Yeah, that's
Never gone to a cabin with this.
No.
I would say that's quite a long freeze for someone who is experienced in being in the courtroom and answering questions. That's, prolonged 15, 20 seconds worth of. How long do you have to think about whether or not you went to a cabin with someone? I can pretty much answer that for anyone in my life. If I've been to a cabin with someone, I can recall that fairly quickly.
And do you have another clip? Because I want to point out something else by him. It's just, I readily confess that getting a prosecutor on the stand, even though I don't know that he's been a prosecutor prior to this situation. I know that he had done defense work, but I don't know that he's ever tried a felony.
No, I don't believe he has. That's at least what's been widely reported, that he hadn't. That was one of the talking points that's been hit pretty hard. But here's another clip of him discussing his relationship with Fani and her repayments to him.
You know the source of the cash.
Just that, out of her pocketbook. Yes.
You don't know where she obtained the cash.
I didn't ask her.
And the whole time that she was paying you in cash, you never said, hey, why do you have this amount of cash?
Why would Mr. Sadal, in my practice, people come into my law firm all the time with cash. I never question where they got it.
Yeah, but we're talking not about people that come into your law firm. We're talking about the district.
By the way, if you don't question people where they got the cash and it's a criminal case, you got other issues. Number one. Number two, as Sadow, who's the lawyer for Trump, just said, I'm not talking about accused clients who are coming in with cash. I'm talking about the district attorney who hired you, who's also, you should have enough neurons firing to wonder, why am I taking cash from the district attorney who got me appointed? And for those so-called criminal defense lawyers who don't see a problem here, you've never tried a case against a federal prosecutor, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I mean the assertion that I've never asked a client where the cash came from and you're doing criminal defense, that seems dubious at best. And we'll play the end of the clip here, but as the questioning lawyer goes on to say, I'm not talking about one of your potential clients. I'm talking about someone who works for the state, and it is obviously paid with a paycheck, somebody who has a bank account, who's got their payroll going into it.
Apparently she was taking it out of her campaign funds.
Yeah.
If you accept what the unrebutted and uncontroverted record is.
Exactly. All right.
Got it.
Yeah, but we're talking not about people that come into your law firm. We're talking about the district attorney of Fulton County, who I'm assuming receives a paycheck. She doesn't get paid.
Yeah. So it's, that does not look good by any stretch of the imagination.
Do you have another clip on him?
The last clip that we have ready here is actually some MSNBC analysis that you saw a few nights ago and sent my way.
Do you have, I think, his ex-partner and now supposedly ex-friend Bradley? Do you have that clip?
I might be able to pull it up. I don't have it prepped.
Okay, but let's take a look at the MSNBC analysis.
Okay, let's do it.
Certain minority communities just don't have the same relationship with traditional financial institutions and are more likely to have large quantities of cash on hand for expenditures like this. But again, it might not resonate with someone like Scott McAfee, although other aspects of her story would.
Well, and to those other aspects, I mean, I do what you want to know what you think about generally the posture that she adopted today, which was combative, strong, assertive. If the contention here is this woman is looking for, a free ride from a man that she hired to sort of get over on the system, I would think that was a fairly effective rhetorical tool, if nothing else.
The defiance, the sort of independence.
That's what, okay, if you think that her testimony was effective, mind you, I've said before, I don't know why the judge in this case didn't recuse himself, because he's making credibility calls on the prosecutors that are in front of him, and specifically Fani Willis, who up until less than a year ago he was working for. So how in the world, and it was obvious that he was letting her run roughshod into that courtroom, although I have been very impressed with his demeanor, with his rulings so far. But the idea that somehow he's going to make a credibility call and that you could watch this and in any objective world think that what she did was effective just shows you that somebody is not being an honest arbiter with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to watch the end of the clip there?
Yep.
Okay.
Rhetorical tool, if nothing else.
The defiance, the sort of independence, like I don't need someone to pay my way, I pay my way. In fact, a lot of the difficulties in our romantic relationship came from the fact that I was independent and he was looking for a different kind of woman. That may have played out, but let's just also put out there, this is a prosecutor in a major case against a major public figure, and we are talking about her dating strategy and whether a former, current, whatever romantic partner believed that she was too independent to be in a relationship. Like, that's not where you want to be in this case.
Especially a case of this magnitude.
For sure.
And on that end, there were moments where she was directly kind of sparring with the judge, who is going to be the same judge in her case.
Well, I mean, there's a comfort there. Like, they have worked in the same office before, so perhaps this is an aspect of the familiarity. I mean, this is a relatively small legal community, and many of these individuals are repeat players who have interacted with each other before. But yeah, this was a lot of drama and not necessarily a lot of clarification.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's Gina Grad. And when you're searching for the perfect piece of jewelry, it can be hard to find a brand you trust. Alex and Ani has been creating meaningful jewelry for over 20 years, designing pieces that connect you with all of life's important moments. With an emphasis on value, there is truly something for everyone. They've recently launched their everyday collection. I could not love it more. These pieces are made from stainless steel and an advanced water-resistant plating method that doesn't tarnish. It has the look of real gold. It's beautiful. I love these pieces because they feel so classic, but they have so much versatility. Alex and Ani are also featuring some gorgeous pieces that I have right here, like Black Lotus, this gorgeous Black Lotus charm necklace, and their Stay Wild pendant, and their Wings of Protection necklace that have a classic and vintage feel. See that? And of course, you can't forget their signature bangle bracelets, which I'm also wearing. And I have a lot of their stuff. I have the numerology bracelets. I have the hula dancer to commemorate a meaningful trip I took to Hawaii. From classic to bold statement pieces, Alex and Ani makes it easy to sprinkle your personality into each piece or make a truly meaningful gift for someone you care about. Meanwhile, you can take comfort in knowing that you're shopping with a socially conscious brand, as Alex and Ani has donated over $60 million to nonprofits worldwide, connecting fashion and philanthropy in an easy, fun, affordable way. Right now, Alex and Ani is offering our audience 20% off. So check their gorgeous collection out at alexandani.com and use the promo code MIDAS. That's MEIDAS at alexandani.com. Use that promo code at checkout for 20% off your order. Come and get something beautiful.
Yeah. All I'll tell you is what has been missed in a lot of the reporting here is, that's why I'd asked you for the clip. Yeah. They put on Wade's former partner after Fani got off, after Fani's dad got on.
I think I might have it, by the way.
You do?
I think so. Yeah. You want to check it out?
Yeah. Yeah, let me set it up first. Fani's dad got on. Fani's dad talked about this idea of always having 6 months cash, telling his daughter by the way, Michelle McPhee, our friend, did an article about him. He's not an inconsequential, he's a substantial civil rights lawyer in his own, on his own, and has a connection to Los Angeles, and I thought was very effective. But he testified, on cross, that he didn't know where she was living because he didn't want to expose himself to maybe saying something because of the threats and things of that nature, and was trying to justify the fact that she had cash. I don't know that if I'm crossing her, one of the things I'm asking her is, what cash did you take out of your campaign funds, and to what end did you take it out of your campaign funds, and what dates? Because there clearly would be a record there. And where did you file that you took the money out of your campaign funds? Blah, 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 blah. Now, they then called you're about to put on this gentleman who I believe's name is Bradley.
Terrence Bradley, correct.
He used to be Wade's law partner and got separated. They claimed went out on his own. And I don't know which clip you've got, but he then is called to testify that the defense wants to show that he represented Wade in his divorce, and that there were written interrogatories where the Jocelyn Wade, who is Nathan Wade's ex, had asked questions, and they're trying to establish that Nathan Wade had lied in the response and changed his answers on those questions. Bradley is and it has a lawyer in the courtroom who was asserting privilege, because Bradley, even though he was an ex-partner of Nathan Wade, was also representing him, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, and was asserting privilege. So he would not have to testify about what he knew about the Fani Willis relationship with Nathan Wade. Why is this important? Because both Fani Willis and Nathan Wade filed declarations that their relationship did not start prior to Wade getting hired as independent counsel, or what is special counsel, whatever term you want to use. Merchant, if you watch this, she'd obviously had conversations with this guy, and this guy had told her that wasn't true. I know for a fact, and she was texting with him when he was flying back, and knew that this was, at least this guy knew, and was telling Merchant, the lawyer who brought the motion, they lied on their declarations, so that they had submitted false documents on the court. So then put the clip you've got, and I'll tell you what's not being reported, which is significant.
So I've got 2 clips. We'll start with this one.
Refer to what I was told by the bar, that Rule 1.6, the confidentiality applies, and that I would be asking for an immediate review by the Supreme Court.
Sure, but applies to what?
Any communication is what the person at the bar told us.
Any communications?
So like he did not qualify.
If you talk to Mr. Wade, that's covered.
Well, Judge, I don't know. He didn't go into those specifics, but this is what was told. I was sitting there with my attorneys.
So he's asserting that any conversation that he has with Wade is protected by the privilege, that Wade holds the privilege. If Wade is not waiving the privilege, this guy can't waive it for him. That's in a nutshell what the argument is. He's saying, I called, I suppose, whatever the equivalent of a Georgia ethics line is, and they told me that 1.6, which is their rule, covers it, and that he can't waive the privilege for any conversation that he has. The judge is inquiring, basically, don't tell me that you're going to outsource your ethics responsibility to somebody else. I'm going to make the decision in terms of whether the privilege applies. Play the next clip.
All right, here's the last clip that we have on Terrence.
Once or twice, but
did Mr. Wade ever ask to use your credit card to pay for trips?
On privilege. Same thing.
Just asking you to use your credit card. How is that in the nature of furthering a divorce proceeding?
I had a business card, and we would use my business card. The firm would use my business card.
For travel?
Are you asking if I use my business card for travel?
Would Mr. Wade use your business card for travel?
I recall I recall a trip, but I don't know if that trip has anything to do with this case. So I do recall him using my card once.
When was that?
I don't even know when that was, and that sounds true. I recall him using my card once, but I cannot remember what that was for. I do remember it was a trip, but I cannot accurately state, where it was and who it was with or anything like that.
And he paid you back for that trip in cash?
I can't remember how he paid. I think it was. I mean, I'm not certain if it was cash or check.
So that's our last clip, right? So I'm going to tie all this together.
Yes.
So the argument is he keeps talking about the privilege, and the judge had accepted that because he was representing him in a divorce, that the privilege applied, so that the question of, did Wade, Mr. Bradley, ever tell you that the relationship with Fani Willis started prior to when you were appointed as special counsel? Well, then Fani Willis's DA in the courtroom gets up to cross-examine this guy and starts talking about a sexual assault that Bradley had been accused of when he was still partners with Wade, and that he had left the firm because of the sexual assault and had left some amount of money, maybe $20,000 in the escrow account, which apparently, and I'm connecting the dots here, apparently was used to pay off the woman who had made the accusation that Bradley had sexually assaulted her. And then he admitted under redirect that was one of the reasons why he left the partnership. And guess what happened? The last thing that happened was the judge said, wait a second here. I've been under the impression that you left for some other reason. You didn't tell me that one of the reasons that this relationship was severed was because of a sexual assault, which was never brought up by Steve Santo, Trump's lawyer, or by Ashley Merton, Romance's lawyer. It was brought up by Fani Willis's person. He's now going to take testimony from this guy in camera without the lawyers present, presumably, ex parte, to decide. And the last thing he said was, thank you very much, Mrs. whatever your name is, who works for Fani Willis. You just undercut the entire testimony of this guy and his assertion of privilege. If I find out that that's the case, I may then rule, I'm giving you my spin on this, I may then rule that this is fair game and their privilege doesn't apply, and that you have to testify as to whether Nathan Wade confided in you that, in fact, the declarations under penalty of perjury filed by Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were false. If that's the case, goodbye, Charlie. They just filed false documents with the court, if that's the case. And they're not only going to be disqualified, you're going to be smack dab in the middle of this case completely blowing up.
It's absolutely wild how much this has crumbled from, what was it, 6 weeks ago, that this seemed like maybe one of the better, cases against Trump. And now all of a sudden Trump seems like an afterthought, and it's all about the players involved, on the prosecutorial side. It's just absolutely bananas.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, I'll end with this. What is the irony? I mean, the universe has a wicked sense of humor. What is the irony that the RICO case against Trump is now focused on the prosecutors keeping secret their relationship, and that the next only trial that looks like it's going to happen with Trump is a trial involving Trump trying to keep secret his relationship with Stormy Daniels, which Alvin Bragg says was because he wanted to violate federal election laws. But he's going to say, and the defense is going to be, no, I just didn't want Melania to know. And so for everybody who says, well, what's happening down in Georgia is irrelevant, who cares about whether the prosecutors are trying to hide their relationship? Last I looked, March 25th, Judge Merchant says a jury's going to be picked about Trump trying to keep quiet and secret his relationship with Stormy Daniels. The irony of it's the definition of irony.
It's hilarious. And, we didn't have time to get into it this week, but for anyone who's interested, there's also another Georgia RICO case that's got some pretty interesting developments going on involving the attorneys involved in that case as well. So everyone can go Google that and read up on it if they like. We'll be keeping an eye on it, and maybe we'll cover it in the future. But I agree with you. It is the definition of irony, and it is absolutely ridiculous. And as far as I'm concerned, great. It's something for us to talk about, and it sure is fun to analyze. So, it's just absolutely bonkers what's going on down there.
Love it. Gary, as always, it's a pleasure.
Mark, thank you. A pleasure as always. Agreed. And I look forward to potentially some embarrassing pictures for next weekend that we can share and make fun of me.
You got it. Thanks, Gary.
All right, Mark, be well. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Reasonable Doubt. Subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/Reasonable Doubt Podcast.